Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show with our special guest, the most accomplished person we've ever had on here, the General, Donald Brown. Don, welcome to the show. We are so pleased to have you on.
It's nice to think about good friends of the past, and it never changes. We had a great time of my mom's 90th birthday last week, and being out in Elk Grove, it kind of brought back great memories of growing up there.
Well, this is what I want to talk about. I want to just talk about your life's journey, which is really amazing. And let's start off with that because we're going to do this really quickly. Let's talk about where you grew up, and I want you to talk about your mom and dad.
Okay, great. I grew up in South Sacramento, where I was born, and it wasn't the greatest place to be. And my dad was a World War II vet, and he took his life in our backyard. I know that sounds like a downer and everything else, but he had a lot of stuff happen to him. And anyway, we were four of us, my three sisters and I, without a father, and things were kind of challenging. And we ended up, my mom met this mailman on the route that was kind of giving her mail every once in a while. And they finally got together and they married down the road, and they had this dream. My dad designed this house that I'm in right now when he was in high school at Boys Town, Omaha, Nebraska. And then he entered the service, this one did, and Hal Nedved became my dad. And he was incredible. He had this dream. He built this home in his mind, had it in high school when he designed it, and we're living in it now. And we lived the dream of his dream. And to have a guy like that come in, and he was just played 60 instruments. He was extremely talented. He's played with some of the big greats, Quincy Jones, the Montgomery Brothers. If you ever look into jazz, he was that kind of guy. He could just pick up an instrument or throw it to him, and he'd be able to play ad-lib everything. And it was just incredible to watch, So that inspiration was part of it for me. And then my sisters, oh my gosh, Bill, I don't know if you know my sisters very well, but the first two are really, all three of them are extremely smart. Jenny, you probably know Pat, my older sister, and then Margie. And, so out in the country, we moved, and they helped me a little bit with the reading and writing. And then I had some incredible teachers that I had in high school, in particular, Mr. Schultz. He was a math teacher, and he's a Korean War vet. I think he landed at Incheon Landing, which was, kind of a chancy place to be in Korea. And he just was an incredible guy in the classroom, but he expected excellence, And my sisters always had me go to the hardest teachers at the high school. And that really helped me. So for later on. So that's kind of what it is. So anyway.
Can you talk about yourself now that we're there? Talk about yourself in high school now. How would you describe yourself as a high school kid?
Pretty driven. My dad at 12, my musician dad, he says, Donnie, what are you going to do with your life? And I was 12. I said, hey, I have no idea. He says, you better figure it out because we can't afford you. After you're 18, you're on your own. And that was, I call it a blessing, because it woke me up and made me think about my life. And, they never made a lot of money and everything. So I decided to start thinking about everything else, like, where am I going to be when I'm 18, And that was pretty scary at times. So I knew that I was going to be on my own. So that helped.
So after you leave high school, what are some different options are you thinking about heading to what direction?
Well, everything kind of built on itself. In high school, as we did that get it together thing that you probably don't remember, the club that we tried to bring everybody together. And we also, and you were part of that. We also did a lot of things like in the band and creating this creativity in the band that I had. My mom, dad, when we moved out here, my mom, we were so bad at music. She says, "You can't play in the house anymore. You are so bad." She goes, "Go out in the field with the horses, go play and practice out there." And she called us, or my dad called us, "Yeah, we'll call you guys Arthritis and the Painful Joints." And so that name stuck for a while. And that was our first band. And then we won this talent show playing Herb Albert at Tijuana Brass, that year at the elementary school. We were fourth grade, I believe. And we beat all the other upper class, And so after that, we were no longer nerds. We had groupies and everything else, Bill. It was awesome. So we go through high school and it's all building block. I mean, getting the band rehearsals, doing all this stuff. It was just organization, and that kind of carries on into my later life and student council at Elk Grove High School and stuff like that. It was all, built on everything about people and relationships. And that's the whole thing in life, is really about people and friends and, staying in contact with one another. And, those relationships built on everything. And my bosses in the Air Force, I mean, I worked for a 4-star astronaut. He's the only one that's ever been 4 stars. Incredible guy. And I worked for him for 3 years. And, he had trusted in me that, he says, "Cyber, Don, I need you to work on cyber." And I said, "Sir, I can't even spell cyber." Because don't you have another one? And that was my first challenge, And I go, "Sir, he goes, "You'll figure it out, Don. You'll figure it out." And I said, "Come back and brief me next week." And so we came up with a construct. I expanded my team of military guys into about 12 guys and gals. And that was the lead creative process, because we used the reserve component of the military that worked in Silicon Valley. There's a place called Camp Parks. It's in right in downtown, right next to Silicon, Oracle, Cisco, Microsoft, all are right next door. So all these people that were working at these companies were working in the reserves on the weekends, in this vault, this classified area. So what we did was we kept the military on the leading edge of change in cyber. So if that makes sense. So it's created a real process to leverage our military in the civilian world. And that's kind of the goal. So it's the same kind of thing, it's about people building a team. And that's kind of what my life's been.
So I'm curious, what led you to the Air Force? How did you get there? And then who influenced you?
Yeah. No, so it came down to finance a little bit, but it was the end of Vietnam, and we had lost first war ever that we had lost. And, I was at the University of California at Davis, and right after high school, I knew that I wanted to excel at whatever I did. And so I went to a prep school right out of high school called Millard. It was up in Bandon, Oregon. And this lady was amazing. Her husband, oh my gosh. And in 4 months, my SATs went up to like almost maxed out, so I could go to any place at that point. But it was like 4 months of just grind. And I knew that I needed that. And so that I worked my way through at the state fairgrounds, shoveling crap. So shoveling crap in the animal bins, and then they elevated me, gave me double pay to do human stalls. So I had to put this get up on and go in there on the summers, working those every summer. My sister Pat went with me. So, those kind of things. And that helped me to get that school done that I paid for, and then go to college. I had enough to do that. And so I went to Cal Davis for that year. And I was kind of disillusioned, Bill, with the politics, I'd say about 10% of my campus in my dorm were carrying Mao Zedong books. And I knew we were going to lose Vietnam because I saw that, the people's hearts and minds were not into this war at all. And I became disillusioned because we were losing, even though we beat them in every battle. And, that we were very successful there, but strategically we lost. And so I never wanted to feel loss again. So I decided to go in the military at that point. After the end came in 75. So I started looking at the Air Force Academy. I applied on a whim, and they gave me an alternate nomination right at the last minute. So in May, I went from Cal to the Air Force Academy wearing a bathing suit, thongs, puka shells, and a Guatemala t-shirt with a big fro. You probably don't remember me back then.
I do not.
Anyway, that's what happened. And so I showed up, and they were really surprised because everybody else looked a lot different with the short hair and everything else ready to go. So yeah, that was a challenge too. So yeah, it worked out great. In the academy's education, you only have 7 kids in a class on the average. So you are getting in depth. You take 36 units a semester. That's 12 courses. And you don't have to do your laundry or your stuff, but you're learning, and you get into this broad education that was just fantastic. If I could say anything, is that is the most amazing school I've ever been to. So I know you have your USF patch on there and everything else, but I would just say, if you want a rounded education, everybody gets an engineering degree that goes there, but you can specialize. And I did operations research math, and then I got a military history minor. So yeah, so that was kind of that. Did I answer your question? I'm not sure I did. I hope that you got the feel that I love to serve, and I wanted to serve and make sure that America would not lose future wars. That we were at a low point when I entered. It wasn't popular. In fact, going downtown to Colorado Springs, I got assaulted a couple times. Cadets were regularly assaulted, especially because we had to wear uniforms back then. And so the culture was totally different than it is today.
Well, when you were in the military, talk about the different steps that you went through, because in just looking at your journey, seemingly you just worked your way up with just basic knowledge of different classes and learning. So just talk about that process.
Yeah. Well, having good foundation there here in California, and then going to academy and having that college experience too helped a lot. So it was easy to do a lot better at the academy. And you mean by how the process of learning happened for me, or how do you mean that with that question?
Well, just as far as you said that everybody's an engineer, and seemingly there's so many opportunities to learn how to be a really great leader. So just talk about some of those classes that you participated in.
Yeah. You take 4 years of philosophy, so you learn, a lot about, hey, are you going to be able to, like in B-1 bombers I was flying, they were nuclear. They had nuclear bombs on board, and I can't confirm it or deny it, but that's it. So anyway, you're sitting on alert. You're ready to respond in a minute's notice, and you're on alert kind of basis. That kind of thing doesn't happen to just anybody. You get qualified for it, and you have to go through a lot of school. And it's just the same kind of process of memorizing a bunch of stuff, and then basically applying it in the plane, and you get good at it because after a while you get this situational awareness of things that are way out in front of you, because you're going Mach speeds, you're going over 100. You're going I was going 1.25 Mach, which is probably about 800 something miles per hour. at 200, 100 feet off the ground. So it's pretty impressive to see with the wing sweep back and everything. So yeah, that was one thing. But the learning process, when I go to another plane, I've flown a lot of planes, is the same kind of thing. You learn, you memorize, you look at it, you do the dash one, it's called, and then you go and apply it. It's just the same as in math. You learn by, kind of doing a bunch of problems, and then then it's just the same kind of thing. It's just that you got to work at math and quantitative and engineering classes. You have to work at every day. You can't. And I always would. The reason why I did really well in math, I think, is because I always stayed a lesson ahead. I would read, just go over the reading real fast of the next lesson. So when I went to class, I was getting that, and then I would get a little bit more of the building process of the learning. And that kind of really helped me. And I helped my roommate in the senior year. He wasn't going to graduate because he would take notes all the classroom, all the time. And he wasn't listening, to the professors. And so, yeah, he have great notes, but he wasn't retaining it. And I said, you're not going to graduate. You got to get a 3.2 GPA this next semester. Do it my method, and then we'll work together. And he had a 1.89 GPA. So you had to have 2.0 to graduate at the academy, or else you had to do the summer and then graduate without a ceremony. So John, he just sat back in class, just like I said, and we'll get the notes and we'll talk about it. Anyway, he ended up with a 3.25 that semester and graduated. But you got to listen and maybe do the work on the side and stay ahead, but just sit back and take it all in and have that situational awareness, just like you do on the plane. It's this same kind of thing. Just be prepared, that kind of thing.
Can you talk about flying and talk about when did that happen, that love for flying a plane? Because that's amazing.
Yeah, it still does. I'm an instructor on single engine. I just went back the last 2 years in retirement, and I've been flying amphib aircraft onto water and then taking them off. And so I'm just really toying with buying one. It's pretty fun. It's in the sight and outside the window. You don't have any prop. The prop's in the back, so you have this unlimited visibility. And I've been instructing at an aero club in Florida. It's called Carabel, and they have a plane that I not rent. They rent it, and students do, and I teach out of that. So I've been doing that just to kind of give back, because there's a shortage of pilots. The military's gotten real small in comparison.
Okay, no, I mean, when you got to the academy, what was your first jet that you flew?
Yeah. So at the academy, they give you a basic course of Cessna 172, which is what I'm flying. It was about 20 hours or 22 hours of flying. You solo. And then you go to pilot training. I went to Williams Air Force Base, where I saw you play in the Phoenix Suns, and you met my wife, Kathy. By the way, you probably don't remember, you had a big thing going on there. And you were down at Phoenix there. And so it was, I think it was your rookie or sophomore. It was I give you the year. It was 1980, 81 time frame. And
that's probably my second or third year in the league.
Yeah. You were like rookie of something, a year or something. I don't know. You did really well that first year, and then you broke your foot. I remember. It wasn't that the next year or something? I'm not positive.
No, I played 4 years and I broke my foot.
Yeah, that was it. 4 years. Okay. So I remember hearing about that through the family tree. They always keep me informed what's going on. But back to that, I went to pilot training at Williams, where I met my wife, Kathy, in Phoenix. And, anyway, so I was flying T-37, T-38s then. And you solo, then you do formation flying and in both planes, and you do confidence maneuvers. You go out and do aero work. So you get confident with being like the plane is that you're one, that you're doing and you're controlling, because the plane's stupid. You just got to put it where it needs to be, and it's that easy. I just say it's not smart. You don't let it control you, man. You make it, happen. And so went through that. And then
Can you talk about that? Look, most of us, we're not going to fly a jet. So
Yeah.
what is that like? It's got to be amazing.
Well, we had 50% of the guys quit or got kicked out. You lose 50% at least. And so what happens is you only get about 5-6 flights in T-38s, which is a supersonic plane. And so it comes pretty fast, and you have to adapt, and you have to chair fly. I used to sit on the toilet. I'm not proud of it, and have a plunger between my legs. And that's what I did. I would go through each maneuver with the power setting in my mind and doing all the pattern work, everything. I'd spend hours on the toilet, just sitting there with a plunger between there and doing all the maneuvers with my hands and everything else. So that, because you're going to try to think about things way far out, because your speed is so fast. So to slow it down, you have to do this. It's called chair flying a lot. And that's what helped me to get through it. So I just go in the bathroom, guys would say, guys, I'm going to the bathroom. And my roommates, and they're okay. So they say, man, that was 3 hours. That was a long time. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of what you do. You go through a sequence of things of what you're going to be doing, every maneuver, power settings, what your stick would be doing, your ADI, which is the primary instrument that you watch. Is sky is blue, dark is black, is the ground. And then you just kind of between there, level flight, so, and then you're looking outside mostly, I'd say 80% of the time, because there's traffic, there's other things going on around you, and to be safe, you have to keep that in mind. So it's a thing of a learning process, but you have to, do it through discipline. And I guess that's the whole story here is discipline, and making sure that you can stay ahead of the aircraft and not let it control you. So that's kind of what it was like in each plane. And when I graduated from pilot training, the guy goes, "Hey, Don, what do you want for going?" I said, "I want to go to C-141s at Travis." And he says, "There's no C-141s coming down." He kept saying, he says, "Why aren't you taking a fighter? Why don't you take a F-16, F-15? I said, "Sir, I don't want to do that. Those guys do training for the next 10 years, to get really good at it. I'd rather go see something around the world, And since I had never gone really anywhere. So that ability to go to the C-130, I went to the Air National Guard, even though I was active Air Force. And I was there for 3 years. I did mass firefighting, putting out fires, as well as going around the world, South America, Asia, everywhere, Bill. So that was incredible opportunity. And then I went to B-1s after the Pentagon. So the Pentagon really helped too, yeah.
So what's the coolest plane you ever flown, and what's the biggest plane you've ever flown?
Yeah. Well, in the airlines, we have a 777, Boeing 777. That's probably the biggest for sure. And I flew that for about 10 years. MD-11, I was an instructor in the training department. That's about the same size. So I flew a lot of big planes because it's easier for me to do military and airlines. When I do a 3-day trip to Shanghai and Beijing, I come back to, wherever my base was. I was at, I was at Detroit some, and Atlanta and New York stationed, commuting. That was really a bear. But I'd say that the most fun I've ever had, my boss asked me to go to Ukraine when the Russians were getting ready to invade back in 2014, and take a squadron of fighter pilots out to, in F-16s, out to a base called Mogorod. And I said, he goes, "Don, can you do that?" I go, I was a two-star at that time. And he goes, I said, "Boss, I'm temporary duty wherever I come over here." I said, "You can put me anywhere you want." He says, "Good answer." He says, "You're going there because I need to be the commander here for the war in Africa, Libya and stuff." And I said, "I understand." He says, "What do you want me to do?" And he goes, "Well, you're going to be flying Su-27s with the general that's from Ukraine." I said, "What should I know about him?" He goes, "He drinks between flights. He takes shots of whatever it is, but big drink. So make sure you fly first in that day. So you don't have any problems, because he flies 5 times a day. So it was kind of funny, and got to fly that plane, and build a relationship with the Ukrainians. So that was part of the fun thing that I got to do. And once you meet these people in all these countries, I was over in Germany for 4 years. It's just incredible. I got to do flights and everything, and it seemed like it was just too much fun. I can't believe I got paid for it. so anyway, and then I'd say the fun planes, the B-1 was an amazing plane. That was incredibly fast, and it just at night in the weather in the mountains, that was pretty exciting. You had terrain falling, so you could put it on automatic, and then it would cover at 100, 200, 300 feet, from the ground. It's just incredible but the advanced technology. But I'd say I would say some of the fighters were pretty interesting. F-15, F-16s were pretty amazing. I don't consider myself a adept at flying those. I just got to fly with a captain or somebody like that when I got senior in rank. So they kept me flying. So I was amazed. Yeah, to get to fly so long. Most general officers don't get to fly at all. And when they get to a senior rank, sad. But yeah.
Can you talk about your responsibilities? Because like I said, none of us, most people will never have a process of you with responsibility of being a lieutenant, of being a captain, of being a major, and then now you're a colonel, and then now you're a general, and then now you're a 2-star general. Just talk about that kind of responsibility.
Sure.
That you have to acquire to rise up to that rank.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a story. It was very interesting. I went to Mississippi and was a hurricane squadron commander there. And I replaced, I'll just say, a black navigator who was a squadron commander. There had never been a black squadron commander as a pilot, and we didn't have one in the squadron. So I targeted finding the best and the brightest, and I got a 90 grad that was a football player there. Daryl was my first pick, and a couple of people said, no. And I said, hey, we got to reflect what's outside the gate, what's inside the gate, and meaning the base. And I said I wasn't popular for doing that, but the first 3 people I hired as a pilot were black, all pilots. And the first one, Daryl Woods, he was just the best. And after 3 months, I remember those old, I called them silverbacks at the time. Now we are silverbacks, but I would say they came in and they said, Don, Daryl was fantastic. He goes, man, you got any more, man? Go ahead. And I said, I do. And I went, boom, boom. These are the next 2 we're going to hire. So I feel like I wasn't there to be popular. And when I had to do disciplinary things, I did it in the first month I became commander, and that certain things were not right. And, that was pretty lonely, and, but after guys would start coming in and says, I think I did this wrong. And I said, I'm not the Pope. I said, I don't want to hear about it. I said, if you've been doing that, I said, or doing something like that, you need to straighten your act, because it's not going to be tolerated. And after that first month, I had no more problems for the next 3 years. I mean, it was just setting the tone, Bill, is such a big thing with people. And it's all about people, but you have to set a standard. And I think that taught me a lot, about people, and, it helping people. And these people, this Daryl, we were at my 40 something reunion at the academy. And just this past summer, And I see Daryl, he's 10 years behind me, and he comes up to me and gives me a big hug. And next question.
Let's touch on that a little bit, because sports is a little bit like that as well. Because I mean, the NBA is predominantly black, but it didn't used to be that way. And it's like, if you look at the Boston Celtics now compared to 1970, it's completely different.
Yep.
And women in sports and gays in sports, it's still transitioning.
Yeah.
Just like the rest of the world. So
yeah,
the military, that's got to be an issue.
Well, Bill, I think really overall, it was just that unit. The military has very much been on the tip of the spear. I really believe, I mean, I have never seen that before. Okay. So I would say, boy, the guy that's now the superintendent at the academy, he is amazing. I've served with him in bombers. He knows me. He knows me well. And I was talking to him during the summer when he was there. He's been, I think he'll be probably, favored to go somewhere for a 4-star role pretty soon. I think so. And there are just other ones. I served with CQ Brown, who's now the chief of staff of the Air Force over in Europe. He was the A3, which is operations. He's unbelievable. And and I think the military from Eisenhower and even around before that, I mean, we really changed just monumentally, but it was a slow process. But I think we hurried the process faster than the public here in the United States. And let me tell you, it's impressive, because I see women in higher ranks and everything else. I was in the first class with women at the Air Force Academy, and almost got close to marrying one. But anyway, it was just been an amazing life with service, and I don't see that. I see not that one squadron. I see a huge difference, and the people think that, but I think the military has been on the leading edge of that, and I think it's all going to happen pretty fast. That's what's happening. Is we have to have everybody stick in the fire. That's what I mean. Every person's stick in the fire if we're going to win a fight. And so you can't, leave somebody out of the fire. If you're expecting everybody to do their best and win a war. So it's on us to do that and to accept all. So that was feeling, and that's what I saw when I was at the Pentagon or wherever, that things were changing fast ever since I got in. So, yeah.
Talk about being a 2-star general.
Oh,
talk about that. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Kathy put up with a lot. She didn't see me much, and the kids, I didn't, I was always gone. I mean, but they turned out wonderful. It's because of my wife. I mean, they have great values, and they're just incredible people. And it's been an amazing ride. You need that support system for foundation. It doesn't it's not about you. It's you as a support at home, and you've been able to do that, Bill. So I'm proud of you.
We are so proud of you, because this is just very, very special what you've really accomplished. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about your family here for a second. So let's talk about them.
Oh my gosh. Well, got one that's the oldest, Kendall. She's got 2 daughters, and she divorced and then got remarried about a year and a half to about a year and a half ago, and to a gentleman that's Richard. He's British, but he came over at 16, and he's a cyber genius kind of guy. so, and he's the kindest husband father I've seen. He has three from a previous previous marriage, but they have five now. And it's like, wow. So that is a huge challenge, but they just seem happier than ever. My son, he is incredible. He did construction management, working for two companies for 5 years. And he came to me, he says, Dad, you got to be a young man to do this job. He says, I'm going back to school. And I said, what are you going to do? And he says, I think I'm going to get an MBA. So he went to MBA, got it into Princess Cruises, and now he works for Ancestry.com, which is right next to you. It's headquarters in the Pyramid Building in San Francisco. So he's been working for them about 3.5 years. And Trevor, I mean, he is, wow. He does everything about, genealogy. He knows how to hook families up with families over in Europe like he did us. And I met the mayor of my town, who was a relative. We learned so much about our family. We had 3 people that worked on the Manhattan Project. I had no idea. And 2 of them were women. And they worked for a guy named Oppenheimer at University of California at Berkeley. And they were mentored. She married a guy that was in the class, and they went to Los Alamos during the war. And Aunt Kay was at my last ceremony on the film. She was 96 when she died, and she just was an incredible person. And Oppenheimer asked John, her husband, "Hey, did you get Kay a job? Because she did really well in school." And he goes, "Yeah, I finally got her job in the mailroom." And he goes, "In the mailroom?" This was 1940. So anyway, 1934. And he goes, "No, she's working for me." And so she did the night shift. He did the day shift, the same job. And so that was one. Okay. And then I got the youngest daughter. She's a hair person. She's married to a lawyer, and they got 2 little boys. They're just amazing families. And we were all here. We flew them out. And, it's just so good to get together with family. And, my sisters all came out. It was just incredible, Bill. The whole thing was just well done. And she had her Elks Club. Your dad needs to join the Elks Club. It's a fun time. Yeah, he'd have a kick.
Yeah, my dad is 90 as well.
Yeah.
And so he's still perking along.
Good, man. You'd have a blast at the Elks Club. They have bingo night. We always go to bingo night in Elk Grove. It's over. It's right at Grant Line and that freeway. The Highway 99 freeway. Right there. The Elk Club on one of the corners there. So, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think the older you get, the more that you understand the word visit. When you come somewhere and you got to go visit, because it lasts for a really long time.
Well, yeah, Mom I come out here about 4 or 5 times a year and help her because, she still has a farm to take care of here. And I mean, it's not the farm it was, it's more of a gentleman type thing. We sold off a lot of the land along the way. And my sisters get out here often too. So Jenny lives up in at Lake Tahoe at South Shore. So she comes down a bit to help too. So yeah, I got away from your question, but anyway, sorry.
Thank you so much for being on. It was such a pleasure.
Yes.
To hear about your journey. I'm not sure we can even encompass it in this period of time because you've accomplished so much. But we're just so proud of you and thrilled. And we got to hang out and go do something.
Oh, I hope so. And if you guys are ever down Atlanta or Florida, let me know, and we'll do that.